When you work on something as critical as protecting the nation, it's important to be your best self. We're dedicated to the mission, but we also take time away to recharge our batteries. The National Security Agency offers flexible hours and plenty of paid time off. At work, we love what we do. At home, we have time to do the other things we love too. Apply now at intelligencecareers.gov/NSA. That's intelligencecareers.gov/NSA.
It's the Buck Belue Show here on the Fan, 680-93.7, streaming at 680thefan.com. Get that Fan app. I've been telling you for weeks to get it. Also, you might be listening on the smart speaker, brought to you by South Point Financial Services. We're live at the Tour Championship at East Lake Golf Club, and I'm just loving it. Broadcasting live from the Maestro Dobell deck, the official tequila of the PGA Tour. We're right next to the 16th tee. Brandon Harper, our on-site engineer, he's got us set up and ready to go. We got Nerney in charge back at the studio. Derek Thomas ready to help us out, associate producer. And I believe Road Dogg is still running around in Charlotte with his shirt off, from what I understand. You may have seen that on social media overnight with Hoyt and Los and Brandon Joseph. Cast of characters we've sent up to Charlotte to cover this Georgia-Clemson game. Try to get Road Dogg on. I'm sure he's probably still asleep, maybe hungover. Try to get him on before the end of the show. Speaking of the show, Buck Belue Show sponsored by Wellstar Health System. More than health care, people care. 10 o'clock hour on the Fan, brought to you by the Haug Law Group, local personal injury attorneys. More at hauglawgroup.com. Let's get to work, Nerney.
Bucks Big Take.
I see you, Harris English. I see you. Heads up, folks. Don't be surprised if the former Georgia Bulldog makes a run at the $15 million jackpot this weekend here at Eastlake and captures a spot in the prestigious Ryder Cup coming up in 3 weeks. English, you may have missed it, shot a 4-under-66 that included a hole-in-one yesterday on the 224-yard 15th hole. He said he flushed a 5-iron, 224 yards. My goodness, these guys are good. Putter was a little quiet yesterday. He's got a great reputation as an outstanding putter at the highest level. A little quiet yesterday. As he enters round 2 play today, only 5 shots off the lead. Go get it, Harris English. John Rahm almost hit me in the parking lot showing up yesterday after the show. He was pulling in. I was leaving. And Rahm had the low round of the day as far as the top guys go. 65 yesterday. The world number 1 is only 2 shots back. The leader, Patrick Cantlay, cruised from tee to green and shot 67. But then Cantlay trashed the Tour Championship format during the postgame scene. He doesn't like it. He wants it changed. I'm going to start calling Cantlay the no-fun guy. Come on, man. You're in line to win $15 million. You might want to get on board with the current format. Also, there were no shouts from the gallery of Brooksy in round 1. No Brooksies going on yesterday.
Brooksy!
Fans were respectful. There was no heckling going on, which was good to see. A touch of class here in Atlanta. DeChambeau had a quiet, laid-back stroll in round number 1 and shot a 69.
Brooksy!
So here we get ready for day number 2. What will it bring? I thought for sure that you would have had some of the fans here drinking this Maestro Dobell coming off the deck here that couldn't help themselves later in the day and would shout out, Brooksy! But it didn't happen yesterday. Again, a touch of class here in Metro Atlanta. Big, big day. We got college football underway last night. What do you say we hit those college football nuggets?
Tasty. Time time for the College Football Nugget, presented by your locally owned and operated Ace Hardware. Find your neighborhood store at acehardware.com.
Now, if you listen really closely, be quiet, you might be able to hear Rocky Top playing up in the Great Smoky Mountains. Tennessee Volunteers getting a win last night on the SEC Network, 38-6 over Bowling Green up in Knoxville. There you go. They played it 1,000 times last night. Josh Heupel with a positive first impression, and this is very important, folks. Remember that first day on the job? You wanted people to be impressed. You wanted people to say, hey, that person there, I'm glad we signed him up. He's going to be very successful. Positive first impression for Heupel last night. Joe Milton III, the new quarterback. I don't want to be too critical of his performance. 11 of 23, $140, touchdown, no interceptions. Ran it 14 times for 44 yards. He will get better, I would assume. But my goodness, Heupel's quarterback is supposed to put up these big numbers. Think of Dylan Gabriel down at UCF. Milton's got a long way to go here. Volunteer offense, not too bad against a really lousy team in Bowling Green. Very young. Vols had 30 first downs, over 300 yards rushing. So a good start for Tennessee. That schedule, unfortunately, is going to tighten up for them. On the national scene, Ohio State playing in a Big Ten matchup against Minnesota, and Ohio State wins that one 45-31. Buckeyes down in the third quarter, and then the explosion goes off. Ohio State showing off why these explosive plays are so important, because they can help you separate in a hurry. You can go from down less than a score, you're down, you're losing, and then a couple of months later, after a couple of big explosive plays, you're back on top, and you've separated from the competition. I counted at least 6 explosive plays for Ohio State. I mean, they opened the game with a 71-yard touchdown run. Then one of their top receivers, Garrett Wilson, delivers a 56-yard catch. Had a wide route dumped down to the running back, Travion Henderson. He took it 70 yards for a touchdown. Had a strip sack, fumble, scoop and score of over 30 yards for a touchdown. Explosive plays allowing Ohio State to separate in a Big Ten matchup. C.J. Stroud hit some deep shots. He's, I guess, going to get better also. They've got some work to do at the quarterback spot. Ohio State, though, separating and feeling good about themselves today with that 45-31 win. Georgia Tech, by the way, we're the home of the Jackets. Georgia Tech getting ready for their game. I'm thinking 3 things for the Georgia Tech game this weekend. You've got 95% of your rushing attack back for this season. And the sophomore Gibbs, I'm expecting a huge breakout season out of him. He may have broken out last season. You got all these transfers that have come into the program, really specifically on the line of scrimmage, offensive tackle, defensive line. So that should boost what Georgia Tech has when they take the field this weekend. Better on the line of scrimmage. And then you get that second-year quarterback jump with Jeff Sims, right? As a rookie, you don't really know what's going on unless your name's Jake Fromm. Making all these mistakes as a rookie. Second year, you've polished up your skill set. Your understanding is at a higher level. Look for Sims to play a whole lot better in year number 2. Georgia Tech looking to get off on a positive start this weekend. And they're your college football nuggets. By the way, heads up on the Georgia Tech football game this weekend against Northern Illinois. Get the Ramblin' Wreck kickoff show starting at 5:30 on Extra 106.3 and 12:30. Or make sure you get that Extra 106.3 app and you don't have to worry about it. So heads up on that. Braves are going to have a night game tomorrow night out in Denver. And so you'll hear game day for leadoff show, the Braves-Rockies game here on 680 The Fan. So heads up, Tech fans. Need to know what's going on. We got a lot going on at the station right now. A lot going on. And a big show planned. Got Matt Stinchcomb's going to join me from the SEC Network. Stinch is going to be with us for the Bulldog Roundtable coming up at 10:35 today. Again, Road Dogg will join us before the end of the show live from Charlotte. Hopefully we can wake him up, throw some cold water on him. Maybe he'll have his shirt on this morning. A lot going on. We're all over it. Glad you're with us. It's the Buck Belue Show here on The Fan, 680 and 93.7.
99 and 95 are pros, and they're as good as you're going to find. Big, strong, pocket movers. They just don't get moved at the point of attack very often. And then the backers, outstanding players, very, very experienced. And then those safeties, great players, very involved in the run game.
It's the Buck Belue Show on The Fan, 680 and 93.7, live at the Tour Championship at Eastlake Golf Club. Our coverage presented by RBM of Atlanta, Level Lawns, Southern Company, and the PGA Tour Superstore. You heard Dabo Sweeney there getting ready for the big game coming up tomorrow night, Georgia and Clemson. You may have heard about it. They're playing in Charlotte tomorrow night with a 7:30 kickoff. And all kidding aside, this is a mammoth matchup. A sensational showdown. Two legendary Deep South rivals. It's insanely intense is what it is. I know I've played in a couple of these. And the outcome could be huge on the national scene. This will certainly impact what that committee's thinking later this year when they talk about the college football playoffs. Now, look, I've been overwhelmed with a lot of these phone calls and texts from family members and friends about this Ron Corson situation. Positive COVID test. What about the contact tracing? In the training room, best I can tell, this Georgia Bulldog team, 90% vax rate. So only 10% of the roster is getting the COVID test this week. So the impact, if any, I think would probably be very small. Guess if you're a gambling man, you want to know who's playing and who's not. I can't say I can offer up all that information for you right now. But I can give you the 3 keys to victory, whether you're a Georgia man or a Clemson man. 3 keys to victory. Let's cut to the chase right now. Been talking about this game for months. Let's get down to the nitty-gritty here. All right, look, turnovers are not part of the equation. They're not included in my 3 keys to victory. Because, look, man, if you turn the ball over in football, you're going to lose. That's what's going to happen. So we're going to just eliminate that from consideration here. We already know that if you lose the turnover margin, pretty good chance you're going to lose the football game. So let's eliminate that from the conversation. You turn the ball over, you lose. We all agree on that. All right, key number 1. These are 2 top 5 football teams knocking heads tomorrow night in Charlotte. 2 of the most talented teams in college football. So let me just go ahead and say adversity is going to strike both of these teams. Both Clemson and Georgia will experience some adversity into the game. So I had a middle school coach, Coach Freddie Muddy Waters. And Freddie Muddy Waters down in Valdosta, at Valdosta Middle School, started the first time I ever heard it when he said, he looked at the team and he said, "What you gonna do? What you gonna do when you get hit in the face out there in the game? What you gonna do when you turn the ball over? What you gonna do when you get a big lead in the game? What you gonna do when adversity strikes?" I'm thinking about you, Coach Waters. It's so important for a football player, a football team, to be able to handle the momentum shift because it's going to swing, man. And when you get hit in the face, what you gonna do? You need to handle the adversity swings effectively, which essentially stay focused on what you're trying to get done. So, number one, key to victory for Georgia and Clemson, what you gonna do when adversity strikes? All right, number two. In this day and time, 2021, and we saw it last night in the Ohio State game, you need explosive plays to help you survive when you run into these teams that are playing you tough. You got to have the explosive plays. You got to have the 30-yard run. You got to have the 70-yard pass. You got to have the kick return for the touchdown. You got to have the scoop and score from midfield. You need explosive plays to survive. And so you get these offensive coordinators like Tony Elliott and Todd Monken. They've been busy this entire offseason game planning for this game. How are they game planning? They're trying to get their best playmakers in space so they can provide the explosive play. Who's going to make more of them? Who's going to have more explosive plays in the game? That's key number two to victory. Key number three. Can you protect your quarterback? Can Clemson's offensive line, who's they've had to reshuffle the deck at Clemson, can they protect DJU? He's 250 pounds. He's mobile enough to move around in the pocket, but he's not going to run away from Adam Anderson. He's not going to run away from Nolan Smith. They've got to be able to protect him. JT Daniels on the other side of the ball, it's really the same scenario. All right, he's not a runner, as Stephen A. Smith would say. No, he's not a scrambling man. He's not a dual threat quarterback. JT Daniels is a pocket passer. So can Georgia protect him? Brent Venables is going to be dialing up those blitz packages, trying to get a free rusher coming at JT Daniels. Can this Georgia offensive line, they've had to reshuffle the deck a little bit, can they protect JT Daniels? Because if they can't, Georgia's going to have a hard time winning this game. So 3 keys to victory for both teams. All right, let's review very quickly. Turnovers, we've taken that out of the equation. We all know that if you turn the ball over, you're going to lose. So key number one, what you gonna do when adversity strikes? Can you play through the adversity? Key number two, you got to have your playmakers with the ball in their hands in the open field making explosive plays. And then key number three, can you protect the quarterback? Because if you can't do these 3 things, chances are you're going down, and you're going down hard with the nation watching coming up tomorrow night. So there you go, man. They're my 3 keys to the game. What do you say we chop it up, Nerney?
Time to talk Braves. Let's chop it up. Presented by Haug Law Group, your local personal injury attorneys. HaugLawGroup.com.
All right, Braves get it done last night. I managed to stay up. I mean, believe it or not, I've been up in the 5 o'clock hour all week long with the job, and then trying to be a really good father and husband. We got a lot going on with these 3 kids in high school. They got these preschool activities going on, man. So I was able to stay up last night and see the end of the game. Started a little earlier than it did out in L.A. Braves getting it done last night. And it was sort of dramatic, as the locker room was talking about earlier today here on The Fan. Will Smith got to dance around a little bit in the final inning of the game. But Braves coming away with a 6-5 win. I've got good news. I've got a Braves source, a trusted source with the Atlanta Braves, saying the Braves will get a big boost tonight with Ozzie Albies back in the lineup. Then we had the foul ball off the knee. He scared us all out in Los Angeles. He has been rehabbing and getting treatment and getting over the bruise that he had on the knee. And my source is telling me that Ozzie Albies, he could have played in that game last night, but this snit is going by the Bobby Cox thing. And that is, okay, you ready? Well, we're going to give you one more day. And that's what it was about, why he wasn't in the lineup in Denver last night. Expect Ozzie Albies to be back in that Braves lineup coming up later today. And I mean Ozzie back at the top of the lineup. I'm talking about Ozzie Albies running the bases. We're talking instant energy with Albies. We're talking Gold Glove second base. So this is a big deal. At this point in time, the lead, Braves woke up this morning with a 2-game lead on the Phillies. So good news is good news, man. A big boost for the team. Expect to see Ozzie back at the top of the lineup playing second base for the Braves in Game 2 of this series tonight. Checking this 12-game stretch, this tough stretch the Braves are in right now. You had the Yankees for 2. Had the Giants for 3, the Dodgers for 3, you got the Rockies for 4. Now, the Rockies, they're a completely different team at home. Tremendous, successfully home record this year for the Rockies. So it's a 12-game stretch, and right now we're 3-6 through 9 games. What do you say we go ahead and sweep these bums and come home with a 6-6 record in this 12-game stretch? I want to hear from Adam Duvall, though. Adam Duvall last night, what about the game Duvall had? Hit that long bomb and talked about it after the game.
And the pitch swung on and belted deep left field. Connor Joe looks up. So does everybody else in the left field bleachers. That was right under the scoreboard. Braves on top, 6-5. BFB, no more. 477 feet.
Honestly, I was guessing about 490. I mean, that went up onto the concourse under the video board and left.
You know, I knew I hit it really well. I didn't know. I think that's probably the longest ball that I've hit in my career, you know, so I knew I hit it really well. There was no doubt about that, but I didn't see where I landed. I kind of put my head down and you know, got going, but, you know, I was able to see it later on in the dugout.
You know, it was a 30-30 deal. Had Kerry talking about it on the TV side last night, where you had Will Smith closed it out, got his 30th save on the season last night. So he hit 30, and then Adam Duvall hit his 30th home run of the season, and after the game, Adam was talking about 30.
One of my strengths is you know, hitting for power and driving in runs. So that's something that I need to, continue to do if I'm going to be the best player that, you know, I consider myself to be. So, you know, that's definitely one of the things that I try to, you know, hone in on and focus on and you know, work on.
Yeah, and playing a pretty good center field last night, too. This Adam Duvall is a really good all-around player. Showing up every day, too, looking to help you win a baseball game. I like Adam Duvall a lot. And it's good to see him having success in that Braves uniform, man. Nice 6-5 win. Toussaint was cruising through a couple of innings, had that 3-0 lead. Boy, I tell you what, you hit a batter, you walk a guy. Next thing you know, you got Charlie Blackmon hitting a grand slam. And now you're down 5-3. Things can change in a hurry there at Coors Field in Denver. I think Frank Coor at that point was saying, okay, we got a good old-fashioned Coors Field slugfest going on. This is crazy out there. How about that Braves bullpen? 6 scoreless innings in the game last night. 6. I bet Bobby Cox was impressed with that. We love you, Bobby. And I tell you, Will Smith continues to get this criticism. The boys on the Locker Room show were ripping him. And I may have been critical at some points during the season on Will Smith. And you want those clean innings. You want to be able to put your feet up and relax and close out the game. But, look, it just doesn't go like that. Do you remember Mark Melancon here in the Braves uniform the last 2 years? He couldn't pitch effectively unless there were a couple of men on base. Will Smith, 30 a save, I believe, in 33 opportunities. I'd say that's getting the job done. So I'm going to let you criticize Will Smith. I'm just going to pat him on the back. That bullpen looking good last night. And we got E. Noah getting the ball tonight. We have all the coverage here on 680. First pitch at 8:40. Game 2 of the series. And that was us chopping it up, talking Atlanta Braves baseball right here on the show. Now, I don't want to ignore the Atlanta Falcons, even though they're taking today off. Falcons, they've got tomorrow off, and the Falcons have Sunday off. Seems a little crazy, doesn't it? I mean, my goodness. I mean, you go through this training camp, and it's supposed to be intense at training camp, and then you're going to take 3 days off before you open the season? I mean, life's good if you can get it like that, I guess. But a couple of moves coming down. Looks like Josh Andrews, the left guard, injured. So rookie Jalen Mayfield, my goodness. Are we going to start Mayfield at left guard in the season opening game? Matt Ryan, you might want to get fitted for another rib protector. So you wear two of them in the game, a high rib protector and a lower rib protector. This rookie, had his ups and downs during training camp and during the preseason games, and those scrimmages they were having with the Miami Dolphins. So looks like that is a potential concern as we get the season started. Left offensive guard, I think Matt Ryan's lovely wife might be a little concerned, more concerned than we are. But look out! I did like what Fontenot did yesterday with the Atlanta Falcons. In fact, I was expecting to see them look at the scrap heap, look at the unemployment line, and get some running back help in here. So they signed Wayne Gallman, who's in the prime of his career, 26 years old, got cut by the 49ers. Shanahan is tough to make his team out there. They're built to win right now. But he sure looks like a guy that's going to come in and upgrade what we had in Olesen, backup running back. I believe we've upgraded there with Gallman coming in and taken over as a backup running back. So like what I'm seeing out of the Falcons. Fontenot, another job well done. Right there, going to compliment you right off the top. So maybe that's what the 3 days off was that Arthur Smith and Fontenot were together looking at the unemployment line for 2-3 days until they could get, another 53-man roster set, try to upgrade with some of the backups, some of the depth that we had with the Falcons prior to the season. And that's what this time frame is all about. I bet some of those dudes, they jumped on one of those jets and flew down to the beach for a couple of days. They better be ready to condition when they get back to town. Man, if I was a coach, that's what I'd be concerned about. And I guess you got the COVID positive tests going on, too. You're worried about that part of the deal when these guys leave the complex. What you gonna do? Like Freddie Waters would say. 404-231-1680, the number. Nerney, we got a call? Okay, yeah, we're calling Matt Stinchcomb. He's going to join me on the Bulldog Roundtable. I need to ask Stench. We talked back in March. I was talking Georgia Clemson here on 680 The Fan, the college football voice of the South, and I brought up to Stench the idea that Jamari Salyer would be the better option at left tackle to start the season. And then maybe after the Clemson game, you let him slide down the offensive guard where he's probably going to do all of his playing in the National Football League in the years to come. And at that point, you turn it over to one of these younger guys, that left tackle spot. And Stench, I believe, was chuckling a little bit, making fun of, I think what he was saying, Baloo, that's a quarterback take right there. You're going to start a guy at left tackle. Then after the first game, you want to move him down playing offensive guard. That's only something a quarterback would come up with. All right, let's get to the Bulldog Roundtable.
The Fan is proud to be the official sports talk station of the Dogs, and it's time for Bulldog Roundtable with Buck Belue.
25-20, far sideline, 15, 10-5, get in there, touchdown!
Bulldog Roundtable is proudly presented by Georgia's Own Credit Union. Find out how you can become one of Georgia's Own at georgiasown.org. Georgia Pack and Load. Move the smart way. Move the Pack and Load way. Online at gapackandload.com. And by attorney Ken Nugent. One call, that's all.
And that's going to be the ball game. Georgia will win this ball game.
Only on the Fan, 680 and 93.7 FM.
Great to have Matt Stinchcomb of the SEC Network on as we talk a little Georgia football. Stench working the Kentucky game on the SEC Network this weekend. And Stench, I know you're ready to get the season started, aren't you?
Chomping at the bit, Buck, especially since this one looks like it has a chance of looking somewhat normal, at least from a schedule standpoint. it looks a lot more normal than what we've been used to. Although I wouldn't be hurt if we went back to an all-SEC schedule. That'd be a lot of fun. But regardless, the fact that we'll have fans in the stadium and we'll be in venue again, I'm pretty excited about all that.
Stench, let's talk about the Georgia Bulldogs and the showdown game they've got with Clemson tomorrow night. Remember, you came on in March, and I was throwing this out that Sawyer, let's start him at left tackle, game 1 against Clemson, and then after that, we can put one of those young guys in there and get the job done after that. And I think you were laughing, saying something about Ballou. That's something only a quarterback would come up with. I'm hoping that Sawyer, we're going to see him take the field as the left tackle tomorrow night. What do you think about this Georgia offensive line and what Matt Luke's going to trot out?
Yeah, I actually think you quarterbacks have some pretty good ideas, and there's a good reason why it looks like anyway that Sawyer's going to end up out there at left tackle again. He definitely projects to be guard at the next level, but I think it's apparent that not only did he play pretty well at left tackle last year, I don't know that this Clemson defensive front is the one you want to be breaking in a new left tackle. That's for sure. I do think that there's some concern. I definitely have some concern given the reshuffling, if you will, although really it's just an elevation at center with Van Pran's now going to be handling the snaps. It's not ideal. I mean, this is going to be the best front line that Georgia will see all year long, other than the one that Georgia's going to field, which I will say, I feel like that's just getting blown right past. A lot of conversation, not necessarily on this show, but nationally, where folks are talking about how great this Clemson front is. Oh, it might be the best one in the country and all this other. Georgia's front might be as good defensively as Clemson's, maybe better. Now, right now, a lot of folks would say that they're number 2, but we're acting like they're number 20. So to me, it's much of a question mark, and it's a legitimate one, that Georgia has up front, replacing a couple of key guys. Trey Hill was underappreciated. I think I underappreciated how good he was, how consistent he was at center, and now that is kind of a question mark. But what about the other side of it with, the Jordan Davis, the Devontae Wyatts, the Carters, the Adam Andersons on an obvious pass down? I mean, they got their hands full, does Clemson, with Georgia's front seven, especially if they're able to get in third and obvious. From a passing down standpoint, they should be pretty puckered over what Georgia has to put out there defensively.
Amen, brother. And I'll tell you, Georgia, the one concern for me coming into the game is how their cornerbacks were holed up. You got Kendrick coming over from Clemson, starting on one side. You got Amir Speed, the senior, this bigger-bodied cornerback that's been waiting on his turn. Keely Ringo is a young corner that they've been impressed with during the camp, but they've got a tremendous challenge out on the edge. These Clemson receivers might be the best total group of receivers in the country, and they all seem to be about 6'3", 210 out on the perimeter. I would think the quick passing game is Clemson, Tony Elliott will try to incorporate that and see if these Georgia corners can handle the tackling involved.
Yeah, I agree. To me, I'm less concerned, although we may find out on the rug that it's a little bit different about the speed and the ability to run with the Clemson receivers, and that's not to say that they're slow. They're not. But it's their length that gives you pause more than anything else. It's reminiscent to me of that 2013-2014 run that Missouri had where their wide receivers were just giants, all of them. They were 6'4" and taller, it seemed like, across the board, and could run. And right now, that's kind of what Clemson has at receiver. Not a ton of established weapons out there outside of Justin Ross, who might be enough, but guys that have all those physical attributes and do have some playing experience in some instances that gives you a little bit of pause where you wonder, that catch radius, what does that look like? Are they going to be able to be one of those receivers other than a Ross where if I'm out there, I'm open? Just because of their length and how our DBs will respond when they're challenged. Obviously, Kendrick's seen it. I mean, he's seen these guys in practice for the past couple of years and is a former All-ACC performer. And I think we'll have guys that can step up to the challenge. But as you pointed out, not just talented, but physically imposing is this Clemson wide receiver core Whether or not they prove to be threatening is a different conversation, but getting off the bus, they're going to look pretty.
Stench, I've been guilty of leading the charge on Georgia offensively as far as the scheme goes, is to lead with the passing game. Now, I'm sort of taking a step back on that in this game in particular. So I think Georgia can run the football effectively, and one of the ways to protect JT Daniels is to get this running game going. You got 5 quality running backs to get the ball to at that running back spot. I want to see some balance out of Georgia in this game.
Yeah, I think that the best part about that statement with the balance is that however the play calling shakes out, we're threatening now offensively, both in the pass and the run. And that's just not something that I think could have been said early part of last year, frankly, until the insertion of JT Daniels in there at quarterback, where I can beat you either way. Whether I do it one way or the other is largely dictated on what's working and how the defense is playing me. But if I can be balanced, meaning I can threaten you in the passing game, I can threaten you in the run game. You load the box, I throw it. I mean, it's a numbers game. This stuff, it really isn't that complex. That's the whole RPO origin, is that I can make you wrong even after the snap, but can I make you wrong to where it helps me? Some teams are like, yeah, you can RPO us to death, but if you can't throw it, it really doesn't matter. If you can't run it, it really doesn't matter. You stick an RPO in there all you want. One of those hurts us and the other one doesn't. If you're balanced offensively, which Georgia can be now, I think there's a very real chance that you enjoy a great deal of success. I think the running back position is the most important position on the field Saturday, and not just as a ball carrier. With the offensive front where you've got guys that are going to be playing positions that ideally they wouldn't be. Sawyer moving inside, that might be kind of good down the line, and maybe that happens starting in week 2. We don't know. And when Warren Erickson comes back, does he reemerge as the starting center? We don't know. We know that this wasn't the intended offensive front coming into the year. And so because of that, running backs are going to have to play a role in the protection scheme. Keep a clean pocket for JT Daniels. See if you can't get a Jermaine Burton or a Smith open downfield. See if you can't crack open something heavy in the play action. When you do all that, those running backs play a key role. But more than anything else, I think it's their receiving ability out of the backfield. And I'm not thinking just James Cook. I'm thinking Kendall Milton, all the guys. Milton, to me, could be and probably should be the feature back for this Georgia offense. Based on what I saw a season ago, I think he's one of those guys that could be an every down performer. Now, there's plenty of carries to go around, you would think, and plenty of talent in that running back room. But offensively, I think the running back position, not just a ball carrier, as a blocker in the protection scheme, as a receiver out of the backfield, it could prove to be a pivotal component of that Georgia offense.
Stench, Georgia been an underdog since the line came out for the gambling people. Do you have a feel on the game either way? What do you think? How will Georgia perform in this game?
Yeah, I think Georgia wins. I got to be honest. I don't know that the money isn't always right, and that line's going to move to get to even dollars on either side of it. I think more than anything else, there might be some lazy money out there that's sitting there pushing the line the way that it is, sitting there going, oh, it's Clemson, and we all know what Clemson does. We all know what Georgia does, too, on these national stages versus these elite teams and all this other. So I think that perhaps might be informing that. I fully expect Georgia to be able to beat Clemson in this football game, and I think it's very important that they do beat Clemson in this football game, because if there's any margin to be gained with the schedule that Georgia has to play, considering the way the East stacks up, a win over Clemson could be the difference in making a college football playoff and not. And that's assuming that you don't leave the conference as the champion at the end of the season. But I think we all know and anticipate who the likely opponent is at the back end of the year. I think Georgia should be able to beat Alabama too. They just haven't proven that they can do it. So because of that, given the way the national landscape perceives the SEC right now, if you're going to cram another team in that top 4 that's a non-champion, a participant in the championship game, but a non-champion coming out of their conference, you better have an elite win. And beating Clemson in the opener, when it looks like Clemson should be able to run the table throughout their conference and then win a championship again, that's a good-looking feather to have in your cap at the end of the season.
Great stuff, Stench. SEC Network, Stench with the Kentucky game. We'll be watching. And, Matt, we appreciate you, buddy. Thanks so much for coming on today.
Bud, thanks for having me on, man. I always enjoy it.
There he is, the legendary Georgia Bulldog offensive lineman. He and his brother did some great things over there, still doing great things, and we appreciate him. Matt Stinchcomb very much for coming on the show. All right, coming up last on the show, Road Dogg Gillespie is expected to check in with a live report from Charlotte, plus that Place Kicker Challenge. We'll hit that before we get out of here. It's the Buck Belue Show here on The Fan. It's the Buck Belue Show. We're live at the Tour Championship at East Lake. Just loving life, man. Out here hanging out with the top 30 players in the world. We see you, Harris English. Got the players now on the practice area, which we're broadcasting live from the Maestro Dobell deck right by the practice area and the 16th tee. So I better keep my voice down here as we get into the golf talk here on 680 The Fan. No Brooksy, please. You don't want to get thrown out of here. No siree. And proudly, I want to report that Cellini's already on the scene. I mean, I've never seen him this early before. And Nick and Chris coming up here as I sign off in just a few moments. As far as the Place Kicker Challenge, what am I talking about with that? Well, we got a big game with Georgia and Clemson tomorrow night. This thing might come down to a game-winning field goal. So when the game's riding, who would you rather have kicking the field goal? Would you rather have Georgia's Jack Podlesny kicking the game-winning field goal, or would you rather have Clemson's B.J. Potter stepping up to kick the game-winning field goal? Well, let's look at what they did a year ago. Podlesny, at last check, he had the Georgia Bulldog Nation raising the roof down at MBS in that Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. Remember the game-winning field goal against Cincinnati, 53-yarder with 3 seconds left. If Podlesny misses that field goal, Georgia loses the game to the Bearcats. How embarrassing would that have been, even though they're a fine football team? B.J. Potter, I don't remember him winning a lot of games for Clemson. I remember Dabo chewing his butt out on the sideline couple times. He was 32 of 45 in field goal, 71% clip. Podlesny, 13 of 16, 81% clip. I think I'd rather go Podlesny. All right, let's go to the Hobson and Hobson Newsmaker line. Let's get a live report from Charlotte, where the Bulldogs and Clemson Tigers are about to knock heads. Let's bring on Adam Road Dogg Gillespie, joins us, the producer of this show. Adam, you've been doing a lot of work behind the scenes, even though you're out of town up in Charlotte. We appreciate that very much. But we do have to ask, what was going on with you running around with your shirt off yesterday?
You know, it's just a natural feel. I think it's just a comfortable thing for me. I don't mind taking my shirt off. I understand I may not, and that's a big question, may not have the best body type to be running around without a shirt on, but it's just comfortable. I enjoy it. It's free. It's liberating. Good. It feels good to feel the wind hit your chest.
All right, so tell us about Hoyt, the escapades, what has happened. Has there been any trips to the Medcare facility? What's going on with Hoyt?
No urgent care trips as of yet. Yesterday was kind of just a tame day, at least in Hoyt's standards. It was just we all went out to dinner last night after the show. We had a great time at Truist Park yesterday doing the broadcast up there.
I'm worried about Hooters today.
Hooters, yeah, this is the one. Today is the day we have to worry about. The fans are going to be rolling in. Some of the fans are already here. I'm seeing Georgia fans all around. I'm giving out Go Dogs as I walk up and down the street of downtown Charlotte. And, yeah, so today's the day we're going to have to start monitoring Hoyt when he gets to the site and make sure that he is able to make it to the end of his broadcast tonight at 8 o'clock and make it back tomorrow morning for the broadcast that him and Los are doing tomorrow, as well as make it to the game, because he has been known to not make it into the game sometimes.
All right, we're counting on two things. We're counting on you to keep Hoyt out of the hospital or the jail. And we're counting on you to come back with a Georgia win tomorrow night against Clemson. Thanks for checking in, and make sure those two things happen, Road Dog.
I'll do my best. Go Dogs.
All right, later today on The Fan, Chuck and Chernoff and Audio Fun Bag. Those shows will be live in Charlotte at the Uptown Hooters. That's brought to you by the Haug Law Group. And then the Audio Fun Bag with Carlos and Hoyt and Road Dog live from a tailgate somewhere up in Charlotte outside the stadium tomorrow from 11 to 2. That's what I'm told. Hopefully all those things will go down. All right, the final word. The final word. The new Braves righted the ship last night in Denver with a clutch come-from-behind 6-5 win. Speaking of winning, the new Braves are currently 3-6 in this difficult 12-game stretch versus the Yankees, Giants, Dodgers, and Rockies. With a series win in Denver, the new Braves would go 5-7 in the 12-game stretch. Not bad. It keeps us looking down at the Phillies. Expect a big boost back in the lineup today. Sources telling me to expect Ozzie Albies back in that lineup tonight. Count me as a believer in the new Braves. Any chance we sweep these bums, go 6-6 in the tough 12-game stretch, that would be awesome. It's going to do it for the Buck Belue Show here on The Fan. Stay tuned for Nick and Chris coming up next.
Great to see you, Buck.
Introducing Peacock, the new free streaming service from NBC Universal. It's hit movies, current shows, live sports, trending bits, and timeless hits. And that's why you can't not watch. Peacock. Watch for free. Upgrade for more. Stream now at peacocktv.com. Law & Order SVU streaming now.